After transmigrating as the disabled villain's daughter, I stop him from seeking death every day. He drank poisoned wine, so I took a sip first and shouted, "Dad, this poison has expired, it tastes awful." He wanted to slit his wrists, so I swapped the dagger for a candy one in advance. "Dad, if you're going to die, at least become a sweet ghost." He tried to ignite explosives, so I secretly replaced the gunpowder with flour and put up a banner, celebrating Dad surviving another day. He was covered in flour from head to toe, his temples throbbing wildly. Finally, he no longer wanted to die. He spun his wheelchair so fast it nearly sparked, chasing me all over the yard. Suicide was put on hold. He had to beat someone up first. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now, the story begins. By the time I crossed over, the story was already nearing its end. The male lead, Shenyenji, supported the new emperor's ascension to the throne and became the Marquis of Yongning, second only to the emperor and above all others. The antagonist, Xiao Yunjing, was left with disabled legs and became a useless person. And me, a 6-year-old beggar, I am nothing at all. I closed my eyes, stretched out my legs, and started slacking off right where I was. Just destroy everything. I'm exhausted. Just when I thought I was going to starve to death on the streets, I was suddenly grabbed and thrown in front of the Xiao residence. That person said I was one of Xiao Yunjing's past romantic debts and asked if I wanted to live. If so, I should cling to him. Damn, I really ran into some bad luck this time. As expected, the identity of a time traveler is never ordinary. I rubbed my hands together, eager to give it a try. A few minutes later, I successfully entered the Xiao residence. The butler, leading me along, was so excited he was practically shouting as he ran. "Master, you have a daughter, you can't die." Me, Xiao Yunjing, who was just about to drink a bowl of poisoned wine. "You villain, why didn't you tell me?" The villain was determined to die. Our suicide attempt was interrupted by us. Xiao Yunjing put down the poisoned wine, turned his wheelchair in front of me, and scrutinized me with sharp eyes. Where did this little liar come from, looking so ugly, and still daring to impersonate my child? Me, how presumptuous, with a mouth like his. Why bother with poison? Just the touch of his lips could kill him outright. Now even the lowest of the low dare to step on me. Guards, beat him and throw him out. Me, I quickly threw myself forward in tears, clutching at the hem of his pants. "Father, you are truly my own father. I've gone through so much hardship to find you. Please don't drive me away." The butler also stepped in promptly to speak up for me. "Master, it's been verified. The young master is the genuine article." With that, he produced a stack of documents prepared by the mysterious person who had sent me here as evidence. Xiao Yunjing took them with a cold expression, and as he read through them, his disbelief grew. After what felt like an eternity, he rubbed his face and let out a long sigh toward the sky. What a calamity! At the same time, my stomach inconveniently rumbled. Gurgle. I rubbed my stomach and smiled awkwardly. "Dad, I'm hungry. I want steamed crucian carp, spicy shrimp, crab meat, lion's head, braised pork hock, steamed pork ribs." Xiao Yunjing interrupted me expressionlessly. "Kid, you came too late. I'm going to die." I hurriedly cried out, "No, what would I do if you died?" He thought for a moment and said, "Then why don't you join me?" Me, he let out a sigh. "If there's anything in this mansion that catches your eye, take it for yourself, then go back to where you came from." After saying this, he turned his wheelchair around and went back inside. Picking up that bowl of poisoned wine again, I jolted into action, chasing after him at a sprinting speed to show my loyalty. "Father, I'll scout the path to the underworld for you first." While he was looking at the evidence earlier, I saw the butler secretly swap out the poisoned wine. I swiftly grabbed the large bowl and chugged it down in one go, unaware of the truth. Xiao Yunjing was so frightened that his face turned pale. When he saw me standing there motionless, he froze again. I chuckled and said, "Dad, this poison has expired. It tastes awful." He let out a barely noticeable sigh of relief, then flew into a rage and scolded, "Nonsense, you really are something." Before he could finish speaking, I suddenly felt the world spinning and my vision going black, my body falling straight backward. Xiao Yunjing was horrified, stumbling from his wheelchair to rush toward me, his sleeves stirring up a panicked gust of wind. Daughter, the next day, I was woken by hunger. The moment I opened my eyes, Xiao Yunjing was sitting by my bedside, his eyes bloodshot and dark circles under them as heavy as a panda's. As soon as he saw I was awake, he started scolding me. How long has it been since you last ate? To faint from hunger. If you were hungry, didn't you know to speak up sooner? No matter how down and out I am, I wouldn't let you go without a meal. I timidly spoke up. But I clearly said, I said I wanted to eat braised pork. No, you didn't. He interrupted me impatiently. You can only eat light food right now. So he brought me a bowl of porridge. Drink it. The bland white porridge looked completely unappetizing. I immediately made a bitter face, staring at him pitifully. He said sternly, first, finish the porridge. The day after tomorrow, you can have steamed crucian carp, spicy shrimp, crab meat lion's head, braised pork knuckle, and steamed pork ribs. My eyes instantly lit up. Thank you, Dad, you're so kind. He snorted coldly. Don't overthink it. I just don't want you starving to death in my house and adding another charge against me. His mouth is truly both venomous and stubborn, but I'm magnanimous and won't argue with him, so I obediently buried my head in drinking the porridge. Xiao Yunjing saw that I had finished the porridge and turned his wheelchair to leave, fearing he might try to end his life again. I quickly asked, Dad, where are you going? Without looking back, he said, adult matters are none of a child's business. The day after tomorrow, I want you to eat with me, or I won't be able to eat. He paused, then reluctantly said, yeah. I smiled. This villainous father of mine seems pretty decent. After Xiao Yunjing left, butler uncle and shadow guard uncle came in, fussing over me with concern. Looking at their matching panda eyes, I couldn't help but ask curiously, what happened to you? The villainous father probably stayed up all night watching over me. I could understand his panda eyes. But why are these two in the same state? The butler twitched the corner of his mouth and said, it's nothing. I just stayed up all night with the master making plain kanji, and only succeeded on the 8th try. The shadow guard gave a strained smile and said, it's nothing. The kitchen just caught a little fire, and I spent the whole night putting it out. Finally, the two exchanged a glance and said in unison, as long as the master doesn't try to take their own life, it's all good. Me. Are you two performing a comedy routine? Also, I only managed to secure 2 days. Sure enough, after barely finishing that lavish meal, Xiao Yunjing once again contemplated suicide. Fortunately, I've already infiltrated the Xiao residence, so he wanted to slit his wrist, and I had already replaced the dagger with one made of candy. Dad, if you're going to die, at least be a sweet ghost. Xiao Yunjing. I ignored his dark expression, took the candy dagger, and took a bite. Wow, it's so sweet. Xiao Yunjing. I chew, chew, chew. Dad, how painful it must be to slit your wrist. Why do you want to die so badly? He fell silent. I continued chewing, chewing, chewing. Wah. Can't you not die? Otherwise, I'll starve to death too. Xiao Yunjing's tone was stiff as he said, don't worry, I'll find you a good family to ensure you never have to worry about food or clothing for the rest of your life. I don't want that. I only want my dad. Xiao Yunjing snorted lightly. I don't want you. Though his words were full of disdain, his hand gently wiped the candy crumbs from the corner of my mouth. Dad, tilde your Tsunder act is even sweeter than the candy figure. Shut up. I found it amusing and happily finished the sugar figure. Dad, I want more. Get lost. Me. Not laughing anymore. That night, a jar of anticavity preserved fruits appeared in my room, with a label that read, poison. Dare to eat it and see. Hehe, as the villainous father's considerate little darling. It's only natural for me to reciprocate the kindness. I rummaged through all the wonderful gifts that butler uncle and shadow guard uncle had secretly given me these past few days, and went running off to find him with hurried footsteps. But just as I reached his door, a dull thud suddenly came from inside, like the sound of something heavy hitting the ground. This was followed by heavy panting, accompanied by an extremely low, gritted-out curse. Useless. My hand paused as I pushed the door open, and I instinctively held my breath. Peeking through the crack, Xiao Yunjing had fallen to the ground in an almost bizarre posture. One leg unnaturally curled while the other was stiffly trapped under the overturned wheelchair. He angrily pushed the wheelchair away, then began pounding his numb legs again and again, almost as if venting his frustration. Why am I still alive? Why? I gritted my teeth, turned around, and ran. I had to find the butler. Highest alert. The next day, Xiao Yunjing looked utterly lifeless and ordered people to prepare explosives. He had self-destructed to the point where he didn't even want to leave a whole corpse behind. We had no choice but to secretly replace it with flour. So, Xiao Yunjing didn't get the explosion he was waiting for. Instead, he got a shower of flour and a banner with messy handwriting that read, "Celebrating Daddy's survival for another day." He froze in place, his temples throbbing. "Xiao Suaning," I answered crisply. "Yes, I'm here, you little brat, just you wait, Naya Naya. Come and hit me if you can." I made a funny face at him to provoke him, then took off running. Finally, he no longer wanted to die. He spun his wheelchair so fast it nearly sparked, chasing me all around the yard. Suicide was put on hold. He had a beating to deliver first. Running all the way from the backyard to the front yard, I was panting heavily. When I looked back, Xiao Yunjing was still hot on my heels, so persistent. I sighed helplessly, propping my forehead, and had no choice but to force myself to turn around and keep running. But unexpectedly, I bumped right into someone's arms. The person was dressed in snow-white robes, with features as exquisite as a painting. A teardrop mole beneath the right eye added a touch of alluring charm. This appearance clearly indicates an extraordinary status. As I was lost in wild thoughts, he suddenly lifted me up like a little chick and looked me over from side to side. Did Xiao Yunjing really have such an adorable daughter? Although my current posture was undignified, he did say I was adorable. I smiled sweetly and said very politely, "Hello, uncle, you're such a good girl. Little one, let me tell you, your father is not a good person. Why don't you come with me? I'll buy you some candy." My villainous father, who had just caught up, happened to hear this and nearly spat out a mouthful of blood in anger. His face darkened with a murderous glare. "Shenyanji, are you looking for death?" I was dumbfounded. So this person in front of me is the male lead, Shenyanji. If the villain and the male lead run into each other, won't it cause a huge explosion? "Oh no, it's over. Let her go." Shenyanji smiled, then tightened his arm instead, holding me firmly in his embrace. "I've heard that Lord Xiao has been seeking death lately. That's perfect. I've taken quite a liking to your daughter. You can go in peace, and from now on, I'll take good care of this girl for you." "Me? Are you even being polite?" Xiao Yunjing's face instantly darkened like the bottom of a pot, and he roared, "In your dreams, let her go." "Oh, don't be so angry, you'll scare the child." As Shenyanji spoke, he freed one hand to pat my head, then said in a shrill voice, "Sweetie, your dad is so fierce, but don't be afraid, uncle will protect you." "Me? Something feels off. Not sure. Let me watch a bit longer. I'm telling you for the last time. Let her go." His tone was unusually calm, like the prelude to an explosion. I suddenly felt uneasy and struggled to get down, but Shenyanji held me firmly in place. "Uncle, Shenyanji softly interrupted me. "Don't be afraid, I'll take you away." Then, he turned around and carried me away without paying any attention to Xiao Yunjing, even adding insult to injury. "Lord Xiao, we'll be leaving now. We'll come back next time to attend your funeral banquet." This male lead really knows how to provoke people. Xiao Yunjing was completely enraged, slamming the armrest of his wheelchair as several silver needles shot through the air. "Father, calm down," I shouted anxiously. Shenyanji effortlessly lifted me into a leap. Indeed, anger harms the body, especially since Lord Xiao's health is already failing. At this, he meaningfully glanced at Xiao Yunjing's leg, seeing Xiao Yunjing so angry that he was about to turn his wheelchair and rush over. I looked utterly defeated. "Uncle, please just shut up." "All right, I'll listen to my dear," Shenyanji said with a smile. He handed me over in Xiao Yunjing's direction and sighed. "Fine, after all, the child will always side with you." Xiao Yunjing's expression softened slightly as he instinctively reached out to take me, but at the last moment, Shenyanji suddenly pulled back. Then said with a look of self-reproach, I forgot that Lord Xiao has trouble with his legs and can't carry anyone." I was speechless, looking for death. Xiao Yunjing flew into a rage and, seemingly out of nowhere, produced a flexible sword that went straight for Shenyanji's throat. Shenyanji's expression remained unchanged. After spinning around to dodge, He leaped into the air with me and placed me on the rooftop. Sweetie, your dad and I are going to perform a martial arts show for you. Sit here and watch quietly, okay? As he spoke, he even pulled out a bag of sunflower seeds from his pocket and handed it to me. Impressive. So, I sat on the roof, munching on sunflower seeds while watching the two of them perform in the courtyard below. Xiao Yunjing's attacks were fierce and ruthless, each move carrying a killing intent, but Shen Yanji remained calm and composed, his evasive movements effortless and graceful. Gradually, Xiao Yunjing's breathing grew heavier, and the wheelchair no longer moved as smoothly as before. Seeing this, Shen Yanji curled his lips into a slight smile, then deliberately slowed his pace, leading Xiao Yunjing in circles around the old locust tree in the courtyard, as if teasing a little dog. That's really mean. I couldn't stand it anymore and shouted at the top of my lungs, Dad, Uncle, I need to pee. The two of them suddenly froze. At that point, the battle was interrupted. At that moment, the hidden guard uncle suddenly appeared from somewhere, beating Shen Yanji to it as he lifted me down and placed me beside Xiao Yunjing. Xiao Yunjing scooped me into his arms and said fiercely, if you dare run off again, watch your skin. But he held me tighter than anyone else. Shen Yanji sneered, Lord Xiao, since you can't escape yourself, are you going to stop the child from running? Sigh, I just want my child to have a father who can run and jump with her. When will you make that happen? The air suddenly froze. Xiao Yunjing's temple veins bulged once again. Get lost. Seeing that a fight was about to break out again, I quickly clung to Xiao Yunjing. Dad, hurry up and take me to the restroom. Then I waved at Shen Yanji. Goodbye, Uncle, you should head back quickly, alright? Sweetie, when you no longer have a father, Uncle will come to pick you up. Xiao Yunjing, mentally exhausted, all the way. I carefully observed Xiao Yunjing's expression, afraid that he might get depressed because of the male lead. Don't look at me with that expression, Xiao Yunjing said coldly. I gave an awkward smile. Father, you're so handsome, cut it out. He paused, then suddenly asked, do you want to go with him? Of course not. I have you, father. I quickly made my stance clear. He let out an almost imperceptible sigh of relief, his tone stiff as he said, after I die. You can go with anyone you want, just not him. He still wants to die. Why is he so stubborn and impossible to reason with? I got angry. If you dare die, I'll immediately acknowledge him as my father, then I'll take him to dance around in front of your grave every single day. Xiao Yunjing's face darkened. How dare you? I stood my ground. Just watch me, unless you live well and be a proper father to me. But I'm not well. Whether you're well or not is for me to decide. Other villains are utterly evil and devoid of conscience, but Xiao Yunjing is not. He was simply set up as the antagonist by the author for standing against the male lead. How unjust is that? Whether his legs are crippled or not, he is still a good person. After a moment of stalemate, Xiao Yunjing sighed and conceded, I really don't know what to do with you. I was overjoyed, leaping up and shouting with excitement. Shut up, you're so loud. Ha ha ha, I'm just so happy. So, father, does that mean you can take me out to play now? Don't overthink it, I'll send you to school tomorrow. In the end, with my head hanging low, I was dragged by Xiao Yunjing to the study. First lesson from a strict father, reading and practicing calligraphy. Pointing at the scrawled handwriting on my banner, he said with a look of disdain, too ugly. I've never seen such ugly handwriting. Today I'll teach you to practice first, so you won't embarrass yourself too much tomorrow. But what's the use of such last-minute cramming so late at night? I sat at the desk with a pained expression. Father, I can't possibly master it in such a short time. Can I? He shot me a sharp glare. I pinched my lips together with 2 fingers. Okay, I'll shut up. After that, the entire study was filled with his complaints. Ugly. Do it again. So ugly. Do it over. Oh my God. Too ugly. Start over. I couldn't take it anymore. Then why did you hang up the daddy is the best that I wrote? To ward off evil spirits. I practiced until evening, feeling so dizzy and exhausted that I rubbed my wrist and complained. Dad, my hand is so sore. Can we call it a day? He said sternly. Your handwriting hasn't improved much, but you've become quite delicate. I pretended to be pitiful. Daddy, go back and rest. Phew, he finally let me go. Having such a father, my life is so miserable. When I went to bed at night, I fell asleep almost as soon as I touched the bed. In my daze, I felt someone applying something to my hand. It was cool and soothing, easing the soreness in my wrist. I looked at him with sleepy eyes. "Father, what are you doing?" He stiffened all over and spoke stiffly. "Checking if you've been sneaking candy. Then you should at least hide the ointment first." Having a father like this. Life isn't really that bitter after all. I was no longer surprised by his stubbornness, so I just let out a faint "oh" and turned over to continue sleeping. I had no idea that he had secretly taken away the adorable little book pouch Shenyenji had someone send me when he left. Then he stayed up all night by lamplight, making what he thought was an identical ugly thing, trying to pull a switcheroo on me. When I woke up the next day and saw this ugly thing, the corner of my mouth twitched. If I bring this to the academy, I'm afraid it'll be even more embarrassing than my handwriting. "Hurry up, it's time for school," Xiao Yunjing urged me impatiently. Completely unaware of how ugly his creation was, in the end, I had no choice but to sling that hideous book bag over my shoulder and reluctantly follow him out the door. But just as we stepped outside, a group of eunuchs hurried over. "The imperial decree has arrived." I froze in place, the color rapidly draining from my face. Oh no, I had only focused on preventing Xiao Yunjing from actively seeking death, but I forgot that he's the villain. Others might not want him to live at all. I listened to the imperial decree with trembling fear. Fortunately, it was a false alarm. The emperor spoke in circles and finally told him to continue serving the court. I was overjoyed. However, Xiao Yunjing didn't look too good after seeing off the eunuch who delivered the imperial decree. The butler also showed a bitter expression on his face. Feeling puzzled, I pulled the butler aside and whispered, "What's wrong?" The master has a strong sense of pride. After the incident, he insisted on doing everything himself. Many facilities in the mansion have been renovated so that he can move around freely, but the palace is full of thresholds and steps everywhere. Every time he passes through a place, he will need someone to carry him up and down. How is he supposed to face that? The master has just started to show some vitality. If he goes out like this and faces everyone's ridicule, will he? I was stunned. But what else can I do? No matter how difficult it is, can I defy the imperial decree? I took a deep breath and had no choice but to force myself into action. I stepped forward and took his hand. "Father, go to court. I'll go to school by myself. Don't worry, I'll be brave." He looked at me with a dazed expression for a moment, saying nothing at all. I made my request without waiting for his response. "But when school is over, you have to come pick me up, and it would be even better if you brought a stick of candied hawthorn berries." He suddenly laughed. "All right, you're the best, Dad." I silently breathed a sigh of relief, based on past experience. He always kept his promises to me, so I felt at ease. When I arrived at the school, I was indeed met with ridicule. It wasn't because of the ugly book bag, but because my father was disabled. They were like a flock of noisy sparrows, chirping and circling around me, but since I showed no reaction, they naturally found it boring and dispersed in disappointment. Yet my heart couldn't help but sink. What about my father's side then? If even a bunch of little brats are like this, then what about those people in the imperial court? The thought of all the troubles he was about to endure made my chest feel heavy and suffocating. It dawned on me belatedly that, beyond all the playful banter and laughter, I had truly come to regard him as family, the closest person to me in this world. Finally, the school day dragged to an end, each moment feeling like an eternity. But once again, the male lead showed up. Seeing me run out, Shenyenji spread his arms wide from a distance, his smile radiant. "Come here, sweetheart, uncle will give you a lift up high." Xiao Yunjing's face was gloomy on the side. "Lord Xiao, why are you making such a sour face? Other children all have their fathers lifting them up high and spinning them around. If you can't do it yourself, that's one thing. But why stop me from helping out? What kind of logic is that?" Xiao Yunjing raised his hand and placed it on the hidden weapon switch of his wheelchair, smiling without warmth as he said, "I can make your head spin around. Want to give it a try?" Shenyangji, me, I was overthinking it. Who could ever escape my father's sharp tongue? The pent-up frustration of the entire day instantly vanished. I dashed over and leaped right onto his lap. "Daddy, spin me around." Xiao Yunjing's face darkened. "Get down." But his hand reflexively grabbed me. afraid I might fall. I muttered under my breath, "Dad, Uncle Shen is really looking forward to it. Hold on tight." Then he clumsily turned the wheelchair in a circle. Shen Yanji looked at me with a hurt expression. "Sweetie, Uncle can lift you high." Xiao Yunjing snorted coldly. "Since Lord Shen likes children so much, why not have one of your own? That would be better than constantly coveting someone else's." After a pause, he suddenly raised his voice. "Ah, could it be that Lord Shen is incapable in that area?" After saying this, Xiao Yunjing wore an expression of sudden understanding. No wonder, no wonder. At this moment, the people around turned to look, their faces showing the expression of someone who just caught some juicy gossip. Shen Yanji. His usually gentle and refined expression finally cracked. "What nonsense are you talking about?" Xiao Yunjing smiled faintly without saying a word, looking as if those who understood would understand. "It's all right, Lord Shen, if you're sick, you should see a doctor. Don't avoid medical treatment out of fear of the disease." Shen Yanji narrowed his eyes and suddenly laughed. "Avoid medical treatment out of fear of the disease? Are you talking about yourself, Lord Xiao?" Xiao Yunjing. After returning to the mansion, Xiao Yunjing, provoked repeatedly by Shen Yanji, began to want to treat his legs. Back when he was first injured, he had sought out all the famous doctors in the capital, but they all asserted that he would never be able to stand again in this lifetime. So, in despair, he had wanted to end his life and be done with it all. Now that he was willing to seek medical treatment again, although the outcome was uncertain, there was finally a glimmer of hope. The butler was overjoyed and immediately sent people to post notices, offering a generous reward to seek out renowned physicians from across the land. The next day, it so happened that a Miaojiang miracle doctor arrived in the capital. It was said that this man was unparalleled in both medicine and poison, well versed in all kinds of esoteric arts. However, he had an eccentric personality and only practiced medicine based on his personal whims, if he was unwilling. Even holding a knife to his throat would not change his mind. The butler felt both joy and worry. Just as he was fretting over what treasure he could use to persuade the doctor to come, unexpectedly, the miracle doctor showed up at his door on his own initiative. The man appeared to be around 60 years old, with an unremarkable appearance and even stranger attire. Dozens of large and small GU jars dangled from his waist, jingling and clattering as he moved. When he walked, one could even hear the faint rustling sounds of GU worms wriggling inside. He stared intently at Xiao Yunjing for a long moment, then suddenly broke into a hearty laugh. "You're quite lucky. There isn't a poison in this world that I can't cure." I was taken aback. It was actually poison. Then he hadn't been poisoned for long, and his legs hadn't atrophied yet. Did that mean if the poison could be cured, he would gradually recover? What an unexpected stroke of luck. But Xiao Yunjing did not show the expected delight. Instead, he looked guarded. "Who sent you? What is your purpose?" The divine physician smiled faintly and said, "If you cannot trust me, then I shall take my leave." I stared at him thoughtfully. In the novel, there was indeed such a character. The author had set him up as the world's #1 in medical skills, so curing my father's leg would surely be a piece of cake for him. In the novel, he only served the male lead, and now, was it Shen Yanji who helped? And who was it that sent me here in the first place? Even Xiao Yunjing, the person involved, didn't know of my existence, so only the male lead could have such capability. Looking at Shen Yanji's recent actions again, great. They're on our side. There's real hope for my father's leg. I roughly have a guess in my mind. I was overjoyed, but still wanted a definite answer to set my mind at ease. "Grandpa Miracle Doctor, after the poison is removed, will my father be able to walk normally again?" The miracle doctor glanced at me and said calmly, "Yes, but it's more than an ordinary person can endure. We'll do it. Start the treatment now." I made the final decision, covering Xiao Yunjing's mouth before he could say anything, and spoke first. "My father can definitely handle it." Xiao Yunjing's expression became dazed for a moment, and he spoke indistinctly. "Let go." I chuckled. "Dad, just give it a try. I believe in this old miracle doctor." He didn't say anything more and nodded silently in agreement. Next, the miracle doctor made small incisions on both of Xiao Yunjing's legs with a small knife, then opened a dark green GU jar. Dense swarms of GU insects scrambled out frantically. I felt a chill run down my spine. And Xiao Yunjing gasped sharply. In the next second, one GU worm after another burrowed into his wound. Xiao Yunjing instantly turned deathly pale from the pain, cold sweat streaming down his forehead. He gripped the wheelchair armrests so tightly that his knuckles turned white, yet he endured it without making a sound. He truly was not like ordinary people. I was so anxious I was spinning in circles. Offering my arm to his mouth, "Father, bite me." The veins on his temples bulged, and with great effort he managed to spit out one word, "Get lost." The next second, he suddenly passed out. Dad, in the early stages of treatment, Xiao Yunjing would faint and wake up, then wake up and faint again almost every day, leaving him utterly exhausted. It made me start to wonder if this so-called miracle doctor was actually here to take his life. Fortunately, it wasn't long before his legs gradually began to regain sensation. After enduring this grueling period for some time, the miracle doctor declared that the toxins in his body had been mostly cleared, and he could begin trying to exercise his leg strength. The process was still extremely brutal. Xiao Yunjing slowly stood up with the help of his crutches, his over 6-foot frame making him appear particularly tall and straight. If not for his trembling arms and the cold sweat seeping from his temples, the scene would have been perfect. I stared nervously at his legs, not even daring to breathe. "Dad, take it slow, try lifting your right leg first." But as soon as he tried to raise his right leg, his body suddenly trembled, and his crutch slid forward heavily, making a harsh scraping sound. "Dad," I exclaimed in alarm, instinctively wanting to rush forward to support him, but he stopped me with a single glance. "It's fine. Don't make a fuss." He steadied himself, took a deep breath, and once again lifted his right leg, slowly moving it forward by half a step. I jumped with joy. "Ah, I did it, I did it." "Hey, Dad, don't let your left leg shake." Xiao Yunjing, shut up. His steps were slow, each one as if treading on the blade of a knife. His legs trembled uncontrollably, as though he might collapse at any moment, making my heart ache with worry. Before long, his breathing grew heavier and heavier. His chest and back were already soaked with sweat, making him look as if he had just been pulled out of the water. I couldn't bear it any longer and pushed his wheelchair over to stop him. "That's enough for today. Dad, let's take it slow." The days of treatment were painful and long. That day, Shun Yanji suddenly paid a visit. Dressed in white robes, he leaned against the corridor and chuckled lightly. "How has Lord Xiao been lately?" Xiao Yunjing kept a stern face, never having shown him any kindness. "Very well. Don't let me keep you. Do you think I want to see your sour face?" Shun Yanji retorted irritably. "It's only because I feel sorry for the child. Besides going to school, he's always stuck by your side, not even having time to enjoy sugar figurines." With that, he pulled out a rabbit-shaped candy figure from behind his back and handed it to me. "Good girl, Uncle brought this especially for you." I smiled and reached out to take it. But Xiao Yunjing raised his hand and knocked it away. "You dare eat anything? Aren't you afraid it might be poisoned?" Shun Yanji sneered. "Lord Xiao, if you're so cautious, how did you still end up crippled?" Xiao Yunjing fumed. "You, angry again?" Shun Yanji's smile deepened. "If you put half the energy you use for getting mad into exercising, you wouldn't still only be able to walk a few steps after all this time." My father was not to be outdone, sneering coldly. "If you put half the energy you use for meddling in other people's business into taking your medicine, you wouldn't still be unable to have a child after all this time." Having experienced it once before, Shun Yanji wasn't the least bit annoyed this time. Instead, he looked at me with a face full of affectionate smiles. "Isn't there a ready-made one right here? I prefer the little darling anyway." "Little darling, there's a lantern festival in the west of the city tonight. It's really lively. How about going out to play with your uncle?" I glanced at Xiao Yunjing's expression and shrank my neck, not daring to speak. "You two can argue all you want, but why do you always have to drag me into it? Woo-woo, please let me go." Shun Yanji followed my gaze to Xiao Yunjing and laughed. "What, can you take her out to play? The kind where you walk 3 steps and it's over?" Xiao Yunjing was furious. "I can walk as long as it takes." As if to prove it, he held his breath and took 1 step. 2 steps, stubbornly walking over 20 steps. I was afraid he would continue to push himself and end up making things worse, so I had no choice but to ask Shun Yanji to leave. "Thank you for your kindness, uncle. I'll wait until my father's leg is better before going out to play. There's no need to trouble you. Xiao Yunjing's expression instantly softened, a hint of pride in his eyes. Lord Shen, only one's own child can truly be close to them. Shen Yanji raised an eyebrow. I hope you won't make the child wait too long. Before leaving, he still wouldn't give up. Sweetie, if you want to play, you can always come find Uncle. Bye-bye, Uncle Tilda. Watching Shen Yanji's receding figure, I quickly wheeled my chair over to Xiao Yunjing's side and whispered, Dad, he's gone. You should sit down and rest for a while. After all, he could only walk about 10 steps at most before, and today's intensity was definitely over the limit. Xiao Yunjing's face darkened again and again. He said angrily, Who do you look down on? But before he could finish speaking, he suddenly bent over and coughed up a large mouthful of black blood. Father, he staggered and collapsed to the ground with a heavy thud. Dad, Shen Yanji, who hadn't gone far, rushed back immediately upon hearing the commotion. What's going on? I was already crying anxiously. I don't know. Sob. Father, please don't scare me. Shen Yanji, someone, quickly call the divine physician. At this moment, Xiao Yunjing lay collapsed on the ground, blood continuously trickling from the corner of his lips. No matter how hard I tried to cover it, I couldn't stop the flow. Anning, don't cry. He struggled to pull on Shen Yanji's sleeve, actually intending to entrust me to him. If you dare, treat her poorly, I'll come back as a ghost, to settle the score with you. I held his cold hand, crying uncontrollably. Father, what are you saying? You'll be fine. We just agreed that you would spend more time playing with me later, and you've never carried me on your back before. You can't. Father, wake up. Father. He couldn't open his eyes, forcing a bitter smile. Perhaps there will be no chance anymore. Xiao Yunjing lay motionless on the bed, his face so pale it seemed almost transparent. Looking so fragile as if he might slip away at any moment, I held my breath as I watched him, my heart trembling with fear. A moment later, the divine physician finished taking his pulse and smiled slightly. The toxins in his body have been completely cleared. This is good news. In an instant, it felt like going from hell to heaven, I said in disbelief. Really? But why is he still unconscious? The divine physician rolled his eyes at me. He's exhausted. With that, he walked up to Shen Yanji, stroked his beard, and chuckled lightly. Lord Shen, the favor I owe you is now settled. From now on, I shall wander the world, and if fate allows, we shall meet again. I looked at Shen Yanji, and my earlier speculation was confirmed. It was indeed him. Thank you, Uncle, I said solemnly. Shen Yanji smiled and patted my head. Good girl. This is our little secret. Don't tell your father, or he'll get all worked up again. All right, I nodded helplessly. Outside the window, the moonlight was as pale as frost. None of us noticed the almost imperceptible twitch of Xiao Yunjing's fingertips. I stayed by Xiao Yunjing's side until the early hours of the morning, but I was so exhausted that I could barely keep my eyes open. Drowsily, I decided to go back and get some sleep before checking on him again. I didn't expect that as soon as I walked into the backyard, someone knocked me out from behind with a stick. When I woke up again, I had no idea how much time had passed. Before me was an abandoned temple, covered in spiderwebs and in a state of disrepair. I was tied to a pillar with a cloth stuffed in my mouth. The man who tied me up had a face covered in knife scars and a pair of standard small, beady eyes. Seeing me wake up, he grinned menacingly. Little girl, awake now. Phut. I struggled to spit out the cloth gag. Who are you? Why did you tie me up? What do you want? You're not even crying from fear at such a young age. Quite the courage. What a pity. He toyed with a dagger, taking slow, deliberate steps toward me. Hey, let's talk this through. My father loves me dearly. If it's money you want, name your price. But if you dare, he suddenly interrupted me with a loud laugh. It's precisely because Xiao Yunjing cares about you the most that I kidnapped you. If you want to blame anyone, blame your own bad luck. Since my poison couldn't take him down, I had to find another way. For example, letting him watch you die right in front of him, and then joining you in death. How does that sound? Miscalculation. I quickly tried to salvage the situation. No, you've got it all wrong. Actually, I'm Shen Yanji's. At that moment, with a sudden boom, the door was kicked open from the outside. sending dust flying everywhere. Backlit, two familiar figures stood side by side, one seated, one standing. Xiao Yunjing, dressed in black, had a face as dark as ink. The cold gleam of his long sword shimmering in his hand. Shen Yanji, clad in white, had sharp, piercing eyes, his long spear held at an angle pointing toward the ground. Seeing the kidnapper's face clearly, he froze for a moment. Lin Heng was the personal shadow guard of the former crown prince. At the end of the novel's story, the author only wrote that after the male lead helped the fifth prince ascend the throne, the former crown prince committed suicide by cutting his own throat in the Eastern Palace. As for minor characters like Lin Heng, the author wouldn't even bother writing about them. I never expected that he would quietly become the great villain now. Lin Heng sneered coldly. Xiao Yunjing, when you betrayed His Highness, you never imagined you'd end up like this, did you? Shen Yanji twitched the corner of his mouth. Throughout history, the victor becomes king and the loser becomes a bandit. Since he has already fallen, it means heaven's will is not with him. Lord Xiao's loyalty to the new emperor is merely a subject's duty. How can it be called betrayal? Bullshit. If he hadn't betrayed at the last moment, how could His Highness have lost to a mere brat? Xiao Yunjing said coldly. The crown prince used to appear benevolent and humble, but it was all an act. In truth, he is cruel and tyrannical. Far from being a wise ruler. Lin Heng was furious. Nonsense. What right do you have to judge His Highness? If it weren't for him, you would still be a lowly common-born son. How could you have achieved what you have today? You deserve to die, Xiao Yunjing retorted. If you have any grievances, direct them at me. Attacking a 6-year-old child, what kind of man are you? Shen Yanji said. Lin Heng, release the child now, and I will grant you a dignified death. Lin Heng laughed. Such big talk. Let's see if you have the skill to back it up. Men, attack.
Wishful thinking. I'm not dying anymore. I want to see if a rooster like you can lay eggs. Shen Yanji. Alright, one win each. Game over. Extra chapter. Shen Yanji. I've always had smooth sailing in everything I do since I was a child, when I wanted to read. Rare ancient books would coincidentally be delivered to me. When I wished to practice martial arts, a reclusive master would show up at my door the very next day. Even the beggar I casually helped turned out to be a hidden master of medicine. It seemed as if the entire world revolved around me, yet I found it utterly boring, until I suddenly gained a sworn enemy, Xiao Yunjing. Just because I entered the school with my left foot first, he took a dislike to me and started picking on me everywhere. Opposing me at every turn. How baffling, but it was also a bit interesting. So Xiao Suaning was the one I sent to Xiao Yunjing. I don't want him to die. If he dies, I'll lose a lot of fun. Xiao Yunjing. I've disliked Shen Yanji since we were children. In school, I competed with him in academics and lost every time. After entering officialdom, he still managed to outshine me at every turn. I was almost driven mad with frustration, until news broke that His Majesty was critically ill. Factional strife is gradually emerging, with undercurrents surging. Shen Yanji has set his sights on the most inconspicuous fifth prince, and I belong to the crown prince's faction. I thought to myself, this time I should finally win, but later, I discovered that the crown prince's benevolence and humility were all a facade. In truth, he was cruel and merciless, a tyrant without virtue. He was no enlightened ruler. When the critical moment arrived, I defected. I anonymously sent some evidence to the fifth prince. In the end, the fifth prince ascended the throne, and Shen Yanji became the Marquis of Yongning, standing above all but one. But I suddenly became disabled in both legs, reduced to a useless person. At this moment, the invisible force within me seemed to have vanished. Indeed, it was this very force that had been pushing me to oppose Shen Yanji all along, and now there's a world of difference between us. What right do I have to oppose him anymore? It felt like I had lost all meaning in life in an instant. Go to hell, just die then. Until a 6-year-old girl suddenly showed up at my door, claiming I was her father. I don't want to die anymore. I want to stand up, and I want to hold her. But Shen Yanji is always lingering like a haunting ghost, trying to take her away from me. It's so annoying. He really is detestable. The new emperor. In the palace, I was the most insignificant prince. I never expected that Shen Yanji would support me, helping me ascend to a position I never dared to dream of. I admire him, but I also fear him. I'm afraid his next move will be to kick me out and take my place. Every day I tread carefully, as if walking on thin ice. Until I heard that his arch-rival Xiao Yunjing seems to have changed his mind about dying recently. In that case, I want to promote him, but I also fear that his gratitude towards the former crown prince hasn't faded. And I'm afraid I might bring another hidden danger upon myself, so I sent someone to investigate discreetly and found that Xiao Yunjing spends every day doting on his daughter, even staying up late to sew a book bag for her. I fell silent, with a daughter holding him back. This man is no threat. Excellent. As I had expected, after Xiao Yunjing entered the court, he and Shen Yanji argued incessantly all day long. I watched from above with great amusement. Letting the two of them keep each other in check, what a brilliant move. Xiao Suaning, what should I do if the villain and the male lead argue all day? They argue at the drop of a hat, they argue in the court, and even continue at home after, because of the kidnapping incident last time. They want to teach me martial arts for emergencies. Xiao Yunjing wants me to learn swordsmanship, while Shen Yanji wants me to practice spear techniques. The two of them have been arguing about this all day. In the end, I skillfully played the peacemaker and said I'd learn both, I'll just have to work a little harder. Then, they started arguing again over how to allocate the training time. Me, I'm exhausted. Oh, right, there's another really annoying thing that happened recently. They even started fighting over my allowance. They were practically shoving money at me like they were in a competition, trying to outdo each other in how much they could give me. I have so much money that I simply don't know where to spend it, so I set my sights on the youngest grandson of General Shu next door, the toughest guy in our school, tall and handsome. His family kept him on a tight leash and didn't give him any pocket money, but secretly, he was a total foodie. When I saw him drooling over the roast duck stall once again, I swaggered over and bought him 2 whole ducks. As it happens, I was just worrying about having too much money with nowhere to spend it, so, using the magic of money, I successfully lured him into becoming my little sidekick. After that, wherever I pointed, he would strike. Becoming the one who could swagger through the school. That day, I took him to the market to reward him for helping me deal with another troublemaker. Unexpectedly, we ran right into Xiao Yunjing and Shen Yanji on the street. Feeling guilty, I quickly put some distance between us. I never expected this person to be so oblivious, completely fixated on the pastry shop next to us. They tugged at my sleeve, whining and trying to get me to pay. Sis, I want some Osmanthus cakes too. Not far away. Xiao Yunjing and Shen Yang's faces both turned green in unison. For the first time, the two of them found themselves on the same side. Hey, kid, get your hands off her.